Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dirty Martini. I hope you're doing well and I hope you're having an amazing day. Guys, today we are on a very tight schedule, so let's not dilly dally. Let's just get straight to the point because I have a pre gaming thing to go to. That pre gaming thing literally being in my housemate's room, two steps away from where I am, and me literally not going to be pre-gaming anything. In fact, that will be my end gaming because her and her friends are going to the city center to party because it is Halloween. But yours truly will not be joining them because I, surprise, surprise, need to wake up super early for work tomorrow, hoping, praying that I don't miss my alarm because last week when I had to wake up early for work, my alarm just simply did not ring. And I woke up and I was like so rested, literally woke up 8:24 and my shift started at 8:30 and I was like, "Oh fuck." So what I literally got ready in a minute and a half and ran to the bus stop and caught the bus at 8:26. Again, I woke up at 8:24. Is that some sort of a reckon? I really believe it is. Is that impressive? Absolutely. And I just felt so incredibly bad because, sure, in my day to day life for hangouts and stuff, I am late. And it is not because I disrespect your time, it is because of the friends I surround myself with. And I'll explain in a little bit. But I am never late for work. I'm never late for university. And those are non negotiables for me. I will never, unless like an apocalypse happens, I will never be late. I've only been late once for university, and it was not due to my fault. It was because of the public transport, because it kept getting delayed, delayed, blah, 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 blah. English is not Englishing. I was late by 20 minutes because my bus was late by 35 minutes. So, yeah, not my fault. Sorry, not to point any fingers, but fully to point fingers. And basically, I am so scared of my alarm not ringing, and I've become, well, we as a society have become so over reliant on our alarms and phones to wake us up. Like, maybe we have, what if I just trusted my body and I woke up when I needed to instead of when I had to? Could I actually go to bed earlier and wake up when I have to wake up, but that being when I need to wake up? I know that doesn't make sense, but like if I go to bed earlier, maybe I can wake up by the time I need to wake up and wake up rested. Yeah. Will I do it? No, because 6 hours of sleep is what I'm used to running on right now. I wanted to mention about the being late. So if I hang out with someone, there is a chance of me being late. And it is not because I disrespect their time. It is because all my friends are always late. Like always late by at least 15 to 20 minutes. And it's not because they disrespect my time, it's just because the people they are. And because I'm surrounded by people who are late always, I just go places late when it comes to social hangouts because, like, for example, a few weeks ago, I was hanging out with this friend and she's always late. So I assumed, oh, let me just go 10 minutes after the agreed upon hour. I went late and still had to wait for another 10 minutes on top. And why would I go on the what is apparently not an arranged time, but like an approximation? Like, I would just waste my time. And I hate waiting and it gets me so, so irritated. So that's why I go places later than agreed upon because I didn't used to be like this actually. When I was little and I was in gymnastics, they raised us to be very on time. And they were like, if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. Or 15 minutes, I don't remember. They're like, if you come here only 5 minutes before practice starts, don't even bother coming because you're late. And that really instilled some discipline in me, and I was never late. And then I befriended my friend group who I met later after I quit gymnastics. And if we agreed at for about like agreed about. I literally said every single proposition, but the correct one, which is agreed on. If we agreed on meeting at 8 p.m., I just knew that that meant we would not be hanging out until 10:30. And that's why our hangouts would go up until 5 a.m. or something like this, because we would just not gather until it was the day after. And because I'm just surrounded by late goers and late shower uppers, I just now, it's not like it eradicated my discipline, because again, for stuff that's super meaningful and like matters and is going to affect me personally, like university and work, I'm never late. But if we hang out, I will be like, give me 5 minutes. Like everybody knows this, because like when I get ready, I just listen to music and I just get carried away in my karaoke, despite me having just such a terrible singing voice. And I just, I'm like, oh, that's 1 more minute, and I'll just let's do one more song. That song literally being All Too Well 10-minute version. And then I'll just like walk faster. And then I end up like listening to a few more songs, and then I end up having to run. But because I don't want to run, I'm just late. And that's on that. But yeah, I genuinely go places late because my friends are late and they're not there even when I'm late. So, was that necessary for me to mention at all? Absolutely not. But yeah, we're doing like a pre-gaming thing. I am not going to be drinking. I'm not going to be actually going to the game after the pre-game, because I need to work. And you know what? I am not fully dissatisfied with that, because sure, I could give myself into FOMO. But why would I do that? I would just look at it from a different perspective of having the house to myself. Wow, what a crazy concept. And about the drinking thing, so the thing is, I am not a big drinker. I know, I am Balkan. How am I not by definition a big drinker? Well, the thing is, in the Balkans, we start drinking very early on. We start drinking way before it's legal. So by the time it's legal, you're kind of in your sober era, and you're so tired of drinking and whatnot that you're just like, I'm like, I got alcohol and like clubbing out of my system. I don't need to do this anymore every single week to just make myself feel something. So I basically stopped drinking when it became legal for me to drink, because I also got a driver's license and I would never, ever drink and drive. And please, I am begging you to do the same. Never, ever drink and drive. Never get in the car if someone has drank, even if it's just a single beer and they're promising you it's okay. Sometimes we tend to overestimate our capabilities and just cognition. And please, for the love of God, spend the 10, 20 euros on a taxi and get home safe and get your car the day after, instead of driving drunk. Because even if it is driving tipsy or whatever, don't do that. It's not cool. It's not smart. And like, it's for those of you who think that it's like a way to prove yourself and the type of driver you are, it's fully embarrassing. It puts you in a risk. It puts every single person else on the road on at risk, because someone might be out there who's like, I've never drank when I'm driving and I'm a very cautious driver. But like, you don't have the certainty of the person behind you, next to you, opposite of you doing that. So let's just, keep each other safe on the road. The road, like, I don't know if I'm saying this because I'm Bulgarian, and just Bulgaria in Europe has the highest ratio to like population to car accidents. And I'm just so predisposed to thinking about all of those stuff. So please don't like, no need to drive fast. Leave 5 to 10 minutes earlier. I would rather you arrive somewhere late and you apologize for being late than you not arriving at all. I would rather borrow you, or like just not even borrow, just give you the money for a taxi than have to cry at your grave. So please be cautious, be smart, your life is worth so much more than those 20 euros that you would spend on a taxi. Do we have an agreement? We have an agreement. Thank you so much. So, yes, after I just stopped drinking, when it became legal for me to drink, I realized that I don't necessarily need alcohol to have fun. Well, it's not like even when I was drinking, I relied on alcohol to have fun. I drank because I thought, not not only because I thought it was cool, but because I wanted to. But like, also, come on, like, I was a teenager. There's like a high percentage that I did it mainly because I thought it was cool. But I just don't like. That's an interesting thing about Gen Z as a generation. We are not fully reliant on drinking, and we don't like, obviously now I live in a student city and there's partying and clubbing every single week, multiple times a week, but the people around me are not like that. Or maybe like the generation is not like this, and it's just my bubble. I've been realizing that I am in a very big echo chamber, and just a very like a filter bubble, because I surround myself with like-minded people, which I think is to be expected, because you want the people around you to be like to agree on stuff, like you want them to contribute something to your life and you to contribute something to theirs, and it's expected that you would want like-minded people in your life. So maybe it is that everybody gets drunk every single day and it's just me and the gals who don't. And I'm not saying that makes us better, I'm just saying that this is a choice we have made. I'm not opposed to drinking. I actually drink more here than I do in Bulgaria. In Bulgaria, I don't drink at all. But I noticed when I first came here for this academic year, so like 2 months ago. Oh my God, it's crazy, guys. It's practically November, which is practically December, which is practically 2026, which is practically 2030, which means that I am practically almost 30 years old. Isn't that crazy? That is so ridiculous, so crazy. But when I first came here and I was hanging out with people who I hadn't seen the entire summer, we would go out for a drink, because it's always, oh, let's grab a drink, let's grab a drink. But it's not let's grab a coffee, because I also don't drink coffee, but like, because everybody's working, everybody has university, so let's meet in the evening and grab a drink. And like, I would just grab a beer or a cider or something like this, and I would drink once or twice a week. And I realized that that didn't necessarily make me feel good, and I could like, despite it literally being a single cider or two, and it being like a very lowly concentrated alcohol, I just did not like the way I felt, despite me not even being tipsy. I just didn't like it because it's not what I'm used to. It's not what I want for myself. So when I'm not drinking, and I go out for a drink, my go-to is ginger ale. Whoever created ginger ale, I assume you're dead. So I'll just say, I hope the afterlife is kind to you, because ginger ale is it like considered a soda? I don't know necessarily, but it's one of the best things out there, and I love it so much. Um and yeah, but the good thing is I also surround myself with people who don't force me to drink. It's just I, in a way, feel forced socially to drink, but the people around me are not like, get drunk, or like, why are you not drinking? Because why are you not drinking is such a stupid question to ask, because drinking is a form of addiction. And we don't go out to people and ask them, why don't you use heroin? Why don't you use cocaine? Why aren't you on mushrooms? But we do always need a justification from the people who are not drinking, and we're always like, why don't you drink? Because drinking is so normalized. It's such a normalized addiction that if someone is not participating in it, we're weirded out and need a justification. So can we just collectively stop asking people, why are you not drinking? Because there's no need for someone to justify themselves. I will ask you, why are you drinking? But yes, so I will be pre-gaming with tea. And yes, that is okay. That is okay. I've realized that I don't need alcohol to have fun. I remember when I was in the UK and I would go out by myself. I would go clubbing by myself. I would go to events by myself. I really needed like at least a single beer, or because to be honest, I don't even really like beer, or didn't used to, but then I came to the Netherlands and it was the cheapest thing. And my back then flatmates would just get a crate and give me a beer, and I would just be like, oh, it's free, like might as well. Um so I just got into drinking beer. It's not, I used to be such a wine girl, but like I will never not be a sweet cocktail girl, because I went to this birthday party last week and I had a strawberry cocktail with strawberry liquor and like vanilla vodka, and that was delicious. I like alcohol that doesn't taste like alcohol. And that is why I don't like rakia, which, as a Bulgarian or like a Balkan in general, I know that's sacrilegious of me to say, but I just don't like it. I am very, very sorry. And my grandpa has been trying to desensitize me to rakia ever since I was a child, and also to mastika, which is basically like Bulgarian ouzo, which those are very highly concentrated in alcohol. They're spirits. They're over 40%. And I just, like, he would have me, oh, just dip your finger in here and just like, try, give it a try. Oh, you like it? Oh, you don't like it? Why don't you like it? Or he would have it diluted. And just, I'm not saying that my grandpa had me drunk when I was 7. It's just like, this is a normal thing Balkan people do. Um, wow, I just can now imagine how much of a shock this would be to someone who has not been exposed to such a culture. But I remember, so in the Balkans, we have this drink called ayran, which is basically yogurt. It's not really yogurt, but like the English language doesn't have the word for Balkan yogurt, which you mix with water and salt, and it's the most delicious drink ever. I know it sounds a bit like, huh? But bro, I'm obsessed with ayran. I had such a big ayran face. I would drink at least 2 ayrans every single day. They were so so good. And basically, when it looks like murky water if it's very diluted, because it's just very like misty, let's say. And mastika, like again, Bulgarian ouzo, has somewhat of a similar color. So I just remember when I was little, my grandpa would lie to me that mastika is ayran, and he would just be like, oh, give it a try, it's just like a little bit of ayranche. And I would try it and I would just be like crying. Again, not saying that my grandpa forced me to drink. He actually, you know what's something that my grandpa forced me to do? Eat walnuts. Because there is this belief in Balkan older generations. I don't know if it's actually scientifically proven, but like it's a belief there that if a food resembles something, it help like something in your body, it helps for that body part. So walnuts, because they resemble the brain, are supposed to help for your brain function and especially memory. And because I would go to my grandparents after school, and my grandparents grow their own fruit and vegetables, and they have walnut trees, and they would just collect the walnuts and just store them. And while my grandpa would crack the walnut and peel them and clean them, he would force feed me walnuts so that I can remember and be a good student. And he force fed me so many walnuts that I just despise walnuts right now, which is ironic considering that I am making baklava for the pregame. And if that is not the most Balkan shit you have ever heard as Halloween candy, then I don't know what is. Because yes, am I going to make an Arabic slash Balkan dessert instead of actually bring candy like chocolates or whatever, like something that's very typically Halloween? Yes. Do I regret it? No, because I know it is going to slay Boots the house down. So yeah, I'm just going to be raw dogging this pre-gaming thing. And why did I start? Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you about the UK. How did I get to own it? I just want someone to create mind maps of my yapping sessions that are so like, because sometimes before I create uh an episode, I create a bit of a structure. I'm like, I want to talk about this, this, and this. Today is not one of those days. And you can very much tell when an episode is not one of those episodes, when they are lacking structure, because I just dilly dally all throughout. And just please, if someone has so much time on their hands that they want to devote part of it to me and want to create a mind map or like a roadmap of how I get from one topic to another, I would be super appreciative. I'll put it on a t-shirt and just like that will be my merch. But yeah, when I was in the UK and I was going clubbing by myself, I would just get a beer or whatever just to take the edge off, because I just started experiencing social. I've talked about this. I started experiencing social anxiety ever since I moved for the first time when I first came to the Netherlands, and then social anxiety has just been something that I've experienced despite me originally being an extrovert. I became more introverted here because I just was by myself, and just the environment and the conditions in which I was positioned here became like turned me more introverted, and I became unfortunately very acquainted with social anxiety. I'm trying to unlearn those let's say distresses, because they're not helpful, and I know what life was like without them, and I miss it, and I'm putting all my best effort into achieving that uh dancing through life mentality again, because come on, we're all going to die eventually and no one is going to remember whether I stuttered or not. um but what was I saying? Yeah, again, please add this to the mind map. um so when I was in the UK, I would just take the edge off, and like I realized that alcohol was such a useful and attainable and efficient way and effective way for me to take the edge off socially. And because I was by myself, because I went there to meet people, I just didn't know what to do with my hands. And you know how when like you're in an awkward situation, you just don't know what to do with your hands, and you're like, I don't know how to put them. So just holding a beer felt like the most natural thing I could do. And then eventually I stopped doing it because again, like I just like I don't like the way it makes me feel. I don't know if it's beer or alcohol in general, but yeah. Did I why did I went on all of this tangent? I don't know, but that was 20 minutes of your life, and thank you, and I'm sorry. Never mind. So Halloween. It is Halloween today. I forgot that October has 31 days. I yesterday when I was working, I was like, "Oh my god, can you believe that tomorrow is November?" And they're like, "No, because it isn't." Who would have thought that October has 31 days? Yeah, so I had to do the whoever realized this is, I'm sorry, one of the smartest people to have ever walked on earth. You know how when you connect your two, like you do your two hands and fists, and you like connect them in a way, like you position them next to each other, and your knuckles basically represent the months which have 31 days, and the decline, let's call it, that is between your knuckles, between one knuckle to another, is supposed to represent the months which have less than 31 days. And that's why, for example, when you connect them and you see July and August are two knuckles next to each other because they both have 31 days. So I literally was like with my knuckles in the middle of my shift, like trying to figure out if October has 30 or 31 days. Um, it should have been very close to my mind, considering that like December has 31 days and like it's only July and August that have 31 days. Why am I explaining how calendars work right now? Why am I mansplaining? It's so unnecessary. But hey, maybe someone didn't know the knuckle technique and now they know. And like, they're like, oh my God, this girl over there with her stupid talk about beer and like root beer, ginger ale just changed my life. And you're welcome. So, Halloween. Oh my God, I should watch Halloween Town. I have not seen it since I was a child, and I remember loving it. Also, why were the Halloween episodes of every single Disney show one of the scariest things I have ever seen? I will never ever forget that one episode from Wizards of Waverly Place, which is like the Halloween episode, and they have this guy who, I don't remember what he was exactly. Like, he was a ghost, and he would just do. Oh, this is one of the moments when like it would be so useful if Dirty Martini was a video podcast. But wait for Black Friday and after that, because like, I've already waited long enough. Might as well wait another month and save myself a couple of bucks before I turn this into a humiliation ritual for everyone to see online. And that ghost, he was dressed like a scientist, and he would just do, oh my God, like oogly 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 boo. And he would just like do like a weird thing with his fingers on his eyes, and when he would do the boo, his head would grow exponentially. And I remember I was terrified of this shit as a child, and it scars me to this day. um yeah, it was just really unnecessary for Disney to create that scary of episodes. And wasn't there on Jessie the day, I don't remember if it was Jessie or something else. So if you remember, please let me know. I can literally just Google it, but I'm not going. Oh well, I actually cannot Google it because we don't have Wi-Fi. We don't have, like, the internet is down. What would we do as a society if the internet went down? Like, a lot of the knowledge that has been created in the past years, or maybe like since the beginning of the millennium, will disappear. So that's why you should print your pictures, and you should make physical copies of the things that matter to you, because if it is digital, it does not exist, because it can cease to exist any single moment. We don't have internet, and it is Friday evening. The customer service is only going to open up on Monday. So that is fun. It's not like I, as a student, or just like I, as a person in the 21st century, really need internet right now. We've become so dependent on it. It's crazy, crazy. Because like, I remember when I came to study here, and I basically had to buy a laptop because in Bulgaria, in schools, it's not allowed to bring laptops and tablets. Everything is pen to paper, and there was literally just no reason for me to have a laptop because we had a family computer. But also, I was more of a TV girly. I had never been an internet girly until, I became addicted. Like, I remember when we were children and my mom would punish us, my sister and I, for like doing something stupid. She just created like a table of the stuff that she would take away from us. And my sister was more of the computer girly, and I was more of the TV girly. And my mom was like, decide what is it that you want to be deprived of during for the duration of your punishment. And I would always pick the computer, because I would never use the computer, and I would still always and forever remember just how I was such a sneaky little bitch and would just never pick the TV until like eventually I had to pick the TV, because the TV would be the only option. And I remember when I was once put in the corner of the room when I was at my grandparents because I had done something stupid. Um, and we were children all. Like, we were all punished, right? Like, I've never been physically beaten, but like they would just be like, oh, no, TV for a week or whatever. And they knew how much I loved TV because I was such like iPad kids. I was like that with Disney Channel. And basically they punished me in the corner, but they didn't realize that they punished me in the corner where the mirror is, and the mirror was reflecting the TV. So I was just watching TV in the mirror. Then eventually they realized and they made me switch corners. But yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Jesse and their episode, guys. That mind map of this episode is just going to be crazy. So I just remember it must have been Jesse because it was like a tall building, or maybe it was The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, because I remember it being a tall building and then just an like a floor 13 appearing, because 13 and whatever it symbolizes. And on that floor 13, the elevator opened, and it was the two twins from The Shining. I've never seen The Shining. I don't think I'll be able to handle watching The Shining. I'm just not big on horror movies. And I remember when one time we went to this, well, she was a classmate of mine, and she would always have big birthday parties at her place. So we went to her birthday party, and we watched The Conjuring. And I remember, like, guys, I was scared when I watched The Mummy, let alone The Conjuring. I just cannot handle this shit at all. And I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, this is a movie, this is cinema, it is not scary. I just cannot differentiate between reality and what is on screen at that moment. And I just remember we were watching The Conjuring, and I think it was like The Conjuring 1 and Conjuring 2, and then we watched a few Wrong Turn movies. Why did we spend the entire night watching horror movies? I don't know. But I just remember, no, we watched Annabelle. Annabelle. We watched Annabelle, and I was just terrified, and I just started like hysterically crying because one of the girls, like, she just genuinely didn't feel good after the movie, to the point that she called one of her parents to come pick her up. It was like 1 or 2 a.m. And because nobody wanted to be left alone in the apartment to wait for the others, but nobody wanted to go like walk her downstairs by themselves, we all went together as a group. And yours truly was so terrified that I just grabbed a knife and started walking around with a knife while hysterically crying. And I mean, like, hysterically crying. And I, like, yes, the sun rose a few hours later, and I was still so terrified, and I would just like look after every single corner and after every single turn I took on the street when I was walking home. I was not feeling good. And just now remembering it, and mind you, I'm recording this in the dark room because I was like, oh, I don't need my light on. Let's just make it more cozy. Now I'm getting scared. Also, it's dark because it's past 5 p.m. and it's obviously dark because it's the Netherlands in November. Well, it's still October technically, but you know what I mean. Um, yeah, Halloween. I've never really celebrated Halloween the way they show it in movies. It was not a big thing in Eastern Europe because it is like, this is a thing they always come up, our politicians, or like our very active people in the society who feel like they have the power to control the social mindset. They always come up with this narrative and this argumentation that Halloween is a pagan holiday and we are a Christian society, and that's why we should not celebrate Halloween, because it's also not only a pagan holiday, but it's an American holiday. And on the 1st of March, it's one of the biggest holidays in Bulgaria, and it's called Baba Magda, which literally translates to Grandma Magda, but Magda from Magt, which means March, and it basically symbolizes the beginning of the spring. And we just exchange bracelets with white and red thread. There is a lot of symbolism in it. I'll tell you in March. Well, language is mixing because today I also spoke in German and Dutch. Language is mixing. And they would always be like, the second an American puts on a Magdanica, which is what the bracelet is called, is when I will start celebrating Halloween. And I'm like, my God, it's just literally not that serious. Let people celebrate what it is, whatever it is that they want to celebrate. Let people have fun. Let people live. And I remember the first time I was here during March, and I every single year I give people magnetici, like those bracelets, and I explain what the symbolism is, and everybody really loves that tradition. Everybody I've talked to and like have stayed friends with throughout the years is like, I'm always looking forward to the 1st of March because I know I'm going to receive a bracelet, and they have received my Bulgarian blessing to keep those bracelets on for longer than they should, because you're supposed to keep that bracelet on until you see a blossoming tree, a stork, or until the astronomic spring actually starts. But they love the ritual so much and the tradition so much that I have a friend who has not taken off hers in 3 years. And so, to every single conservative Bulgarian that is like, no, I'm not going to celebrate this American pagan holiday, don't worry. I have given Americans Magdinici. You can like sleep peacefully knowing that our culture has been appreciated and celebrated. So let people live, because there was like a big thing last week, I think it was, in one of the Bulgarian villages, or I don't know if it's like considered a town. I think it is considered a town. Like the yeah, if it is a mayor. I mean, like technically villages also have mayors, but let's just assume it's a town. The mayor issued like a policy that it is forbidden to celebrate Halloween. And I'm like, men will do anything but go to therapy. Just let people live. But I've never really celebrated Halloween the way it is supposed to be celebrated. The most I have done is I have carved out a pumpkin with my grandparents, and not even the type of pumpkin they do in movies, or like I assume they also do in real life. It would just be like a butternut squash is what we would carve out, because after that we would just use it to make tikvenik, which is basically pastry with pumpkin, which is I I told you I hate walnuts, and I'm actually making baklava. I will only eat walnuts if I cannot taste them, which is ironic because like in the baklava you can only taste the walnuts, but baklava doesn't count because baklava is life. And I love tikvenik. Despite it having a lot of walnuts, I'm so looking forward to it every single year when I go home for Christmas, because I'm lucky enough and blessed enough to have been able to go home for Christmas every single year since I moved abroad. I just look forward to my mom's tikvenik, and I know my grandma is not listening because she doesn't speak English, but no offense to my grandma, but my mom's tikvenik is better, and I'm just so excited to have tikvenik. No, no, you don't get it. You really like. Could I make myself tikvenik? I could. Will I? No. Because my mom just makes it different. My mom's tikvenik is the best tikvenik in the world. Period. Never celebrated Halloween. Like the most I've done is like carved out a pumpkin. I mean, like at school we would have like a Halloween party, and I would just dress up as Minnie Mouse or just draw something on my face. Like half of my face will be drawn to resemble a skull. Well, I mean, my entire face is a skull. It's just covered by muscles and skin. But you know what I mean. And yeah, I've never been trick or treating. And I remember when I was little, I was like, oh, I cannot wait to one day go to America and trick and treat. And then I found out that it's only for children, and that like it's not okay for adults to go trick or treating unless they're the parent of that child. So like now you would like, is this how they would force me to have a child so that I can go trick or treating and like fulfill my childhood dream? I don't know. But I remember one time it was on Halloween. Because the 1st of November is a national holiday in Bulgaria, because we celebrate people who have enlightened us, literary, like people who have contributed to Bulgarian knowledge, and but like it's different from the 24th of May. If you're interested, just look it up. Like basically every single day is a holiday of some sorts, but like this, like tomorrow is like a big one. And so it was a day off, and I just remember my parents had gone somewhere like for dinner or whatever, and my sister was at a Halloween party or just like a party, whatever, and I was home alone, and there were trick-or-treaters knocking on my door, like ringing the doorbell. And I remember I was still a child myself, so I couldn't really like reach the peephole. So I just got a chair to look through the peephole, and I saw the children, and I was so incredibly terrified. I cannot explain. It was not because of their costumes. It was because I just didn't know like what I would do. What should I do? Because I didn't have candy, because I was not prepared, because why would I be prepared? Like I'm a child myself. So what I did is I just did not open, and I turned off all the lights in my apartment, well, in our apartment, so that they would not see me. Like they're literal children. They were like 8 or 10 years old. What would they do? Like thankfully they didn't do any tricks. Which is reminding me, my friends and I, we were menaces when we were young, and I remember we would go to this friend's place before we started going to another friend's place to do the exact same shit, and we would just disturb the neighbors any chance we got. And we would, is this incriminating? Am I going to get in trouble for this? Like, we would pour water, like, because my friend used to live very high up in her building, and we would just pour water on people from the top. I'm laughing now, but like it's not funny. It's really, really not funny. But we were children, we found it funny. And what we would also do is like we would grab eggs and just put them under the doormats of her neighbors. And when they stepped on them, like the egg would just go everywhere. In this economy, you would never see me waste an egg ever, because come on, eggs are expensive. But back then we were children, we didn't necessarily think about what it means to waste food, what it means to like disturb actually someone's peace and day. And by the way, when I say we were throwing water, I don't mean we were throwing buckets of water like 10 liters on top of someone's head. We would just be like, oh, here's like a little bit of spit from my water bottle. That was it. That was the trick. This is also reminding me of this one time when I was home alone. And isn't it interesting how, before I tell the story, isn't it interesting how I was left alone from very early on? Because my family just knew that I would manage. I've always been a responsible person. I've always been the responsible friend, and that's why my friends' parents, when they're with me, they know they don't have to worry. And they like, because my friends, especially one of my best friends, she never ever picks her phone up. Like if like even if it was life or death, she would never pick her phone up because it's always on do not disturb. And like her mom knew that, so she would just call me and she would just be like, hey, are you guys alive? And I would just be like, yeah, we're alive, I'm bringing her home. So yeah, I am that friend. Despite, having a past record of egging someone's doormats. But don't worry, one time like we were scolded very, very badly by some of the neighbors. Also, just imagine being like my friend's parents, and like you've gone grocery shopping, you've bought like eggs enough for 4 people, and you want to go home and you want to make something with eggs, and you're like, where are all my eggs? And they're like, oh, we ate them. And they're like, you ate like 12 eggs? And they're like, yeah. Like, bro, like we're stupid children. It's okay, we were children. But yeah, I was left alone from very early on. But yeah, which is nice. I respect the fact that my parents they knew the way they have raised me. Like they, in a way, not only trusted me, but they trusted themselves because they trusted the way I was raised, which, yeah. But I also remember one time when I was making toast and I was by myself, and mind you, this was before, or at least I don't know if it was necessarily available, but I don't think it was available, like pre-cut bread at the supermarket in Bulgaria. I don't think it became a thing until after I was a certain age. So we would just buy a loaf from the store, which was the best bread ever. Oh my god, like I miss it. I know I've talked about this bread before, but oh, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. So this big loaf, you would get it and you would have to cut it yourself. And obviously, I'm a child. I cannot cut properly with a big knife. Mind you, I'm a child. I should not be around big knives or like knives altogether in the first place. And I was just like cutting something, probably also watching Disney Channel because that was my poison of choice at the time, like I already mentioned. And I started cutting it very thinly because I was like, oh, it needs to fit in the, it's called like a party grill, which is basically like how do I explain what a party grill is? It's like a grill. Wow, so descriptive. Like it's basically what we used. Like look it up, just look it up. And this is what we used in my household as a toaster because we didn't need enough toast to justify buying a toaster. The first time I encountered a toaster was when I moved here, and because like just you're a student, you don't have a lot of money, you eat toast most likely. So you can justify getting a toaster because also party grills are not a thing here, and I miss my party grill so much, guys. Like, oh my god, like to the point that I was thinking about like buying one in Bulgaria. Like I'm fine with ditching clothes in Bulgaria as long as I can bring back a party grill. But like I established with you last week, my kitchen here is so incredibly small that I just cannot fit that party grill anywhere. Otherwise, my landlord will come and paint around it. Anyways, so I just started cutting the bread and I started very thinly because I was like, like very smart. I was like, so that it fits in the party grill. Because on like the grilling thingy is actually on top. Like you put it on this, how you put it on this grid and it heats up from above. So you need to make it like a certain thickness so that it doesn't touch those heating up things because otherwise it is going to burn. Like now consider this like a foreshadowing of my story. So I started cutting very thinly. I started cutting the slice of bread to be, I don't know, like 5 milliliters of not milliliters, millimeters at first. And then because, I'm a child, I don't know how to cut properly. I just did not cut it evenly. And the other end ended up being 3 centimeters roughly. And when I put it to toast, it caught on fire. It fully caught on fire, like, I mean, flames, to the point that I just called my dad and was like, and mind you, my dad was working at the time 20 minutes away from where we lived by car. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to burn the house down because I was by myself and I didn't know what to do. Like, obviously, I knew water and like I turned off the party grill or whatever. But like, I called him crying and shout out to him. Like, that 20-minute drive, like, he Max Verstappen that and just came and helped me. That was just like a side story. But yeah, I was given a lot of autonomy as a child. So thank you to my parents for trusting me. Like I would go to school alone or like come home from school alone or with a friend. Like I would go to practice alone or just I was just my own person. And I think that taught me a lot. But nowadays I don't know how safe it would be to just let a 7-year-old walk around by themselves. Because now like I mean, to be honest, nowadays children they have like phones which are like last model Apple iPhone and they're tracked by their parents at all times, which is something I'm very like torn about because I'm not opposed to sharing your location for safety reasons, but you need to establish trust with that person beforehand and you need to not abuse that knowledge. And if you're going to track your child at all times and, for example, hold them accountable for going to a park or whatever, you're just teaching them to lie to you in a way. But I understand the concern, and the concern is very real, and the concern is very justified considering the world we live in. But also, what do I know? I don't have children, but I do have opinions. And if that does not mean that I am more like a man, then I don't know what is. So that story that I went on to tell you. So I remember one time I was alone at home, and I guess now we're just switching to like scary stories or whatever. I remember this one woman rang the doorbell And the thing is, like I mentioned, I was a child, so I couldn't reach the peephole. And I just opened the door without even asking who is it. And I just saw this stranger, and she had a small child with her. And she asked me, "Are you alone?" And just started looking around in the apartment. And I was like, oh my God, is she going to kidnap me? Is she going to rob me? Is she going to kill me? And I just started crying in front of her because I told her I was alone. And I feel like she felt very bad for me eventually when I started crying, and she left me. Like just left me alone, and I'm so thankful she did. And when I told my parents, they were like, yeah, no, you really need to be careful. And my parents were like, if you do open the door, which we advise you against, never say that you're alone. And yeah, sure, this was me, my parents telling me go and lie, but it was to protect myself. But also, we established ground rules of how I should not open the door without checking who it is through the peephole. So that meant like getting a chair and checking through the peephole or asking who is it. And my parents and I just like had a predetermined sentences to just like use as a uh evidence that it was them so that I can safely open. Um yeah, but guys, I just did not live in the safest like place in my hometown. Like my hometown in itself is not necessarily dangerous, but I didn't live in the best place. Like location wise perfect, but safety wise, I mean, like it was named the ghetto. Like it was known as the ghetto. Like I witnessed an arrest when I was 5. There were a lot of drug deals happening in that neighborhood, and the amount of fights I have become a witness to, like both physical and emotional, is concerning. I remember this one couple was arguing under my window until early in the morning because the man had cheated on her, and like shout out to her for standing her ground, but I had front row to it all. And I remember also my building's main entrance, because here's the thing, a lot of the buildings in Bulgaria were built during communism, and they are those living blocks basically. And it's a tall ass living building, like living complex with like 20 to 30 apartments in it. And they were built during communism, and they were not renovated until like renovations became a thing like less than a decade ago, I would say. And not every single building would get renovated because obviously that would cost a lot of money and a lot of time. So until they collected the money, we were stuck with our old entrance door to the main building, and it would not lock. It was this old wooden door. And people would just go inside, and the thing is, people would just go inside and pee and take shit and smoke and just drug themselves because why not, I guess. My parents would always tell this story of how when my mom was pregnant, she had a craving, and my dad went out to buy the thing she was craving. Like it was the middle of the night because in Bulgaria we have 24/7 stores, which is something I miss so much. Like I'm sorry, but I just don't think that having a town or a city without a 24/7 store and without a 24/7 pharmacy, more than anything, is a smart thing to do or a safe thing to do. Because here in the city I live in, the night shops that are supposed to be 24/7 or also like all night open at 2 and close at 5. And my guy, how is that useful when like the supermarkets open at 8 and close at 10, the latest, and like on Sundays they open at 12, like. And there's like a very like one or two pharmacies that work on Sunday, and they work for just a few hours, which I understand from an employee's perspective. It is nice that you get a day off, but it is not safe. Like it's just really not safe, and I'm super thankful that where I am from, We have a 24/7 grocery store, and most of all, we have a 24/7 pharmacy because anything can happen. So yeah, my dad went to buy whatever it was that my mom was craving, and on his way home, when he entered the building, he saw that someone was taking a shit in the building staircase and just chased him. And my question is, what do you have to gain from taking a shit in front of someone's front door? But like, yeah, you could now make the argument of, oh, what do you have to gain from egging someone's door mad? Because, that's what I did. But like, they're fully not comparable, not only because one was an egg and the other was human feces, but also I was a child. That was a grown ass surprise man. So that was interesting. But guys, I really need to go get started on that baklava. So I want to thank you all so much for listening to this episode, whatever it was. I know it was such a roller coaster of an episode, but I wish you all a very peaceful and enjoyable Halloween. If you're out there celebrating, go have fun, stay safe, divas, because on Girl Halloween is the one day of the year when a girl can get dressed up like a total slut and no other girl can say anything about it. I just love costumes like these, and I also love gay Halloween because what do you mean? You have dressed up as hyperpigmentation, and the girls that get it, get it. The girls that don't, don't. But yeah, please, someone, if you create a mind map of this episode, I would be super thankful. But don't use AI. Don't use AI. And the creation of that map. We all know, like, we are appreciative of another type of creativity here, even if that means talking about someone taking a shit in your staircase as when you were a child while someone else was getting arrested and you could see it through your Barbie drapes in your room while you were playing with your stuffed animals. Fun childhood! No, I loved my childhood. I didn't appreciate it perhaps as much as I should have, but I'm super thankful for the childhood I had. And I will leave you on that positive note. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll go get started on the baklava and my tea because, like I mentioned, I will be raw dogging the pre-gaming. So thank you all so much for watching, listening, enjoying, or not enjoying. I hope to see you in the next episode. But until then, stay hydrated, wear sunscreen, and don't support genocide. Bye!